the Ringside Club Par. A.O. Blame Boogie, Chad Law. The power's back, triple power bomb. The big dog trio in the stream yard. Go outside, hit the venue guard. It's all love when you see us, Lord. Back to the pad, on air for the pod. Ringside Club, intro to the squad. Let the show start. Yo.
Bow.
Happy Thursday, man, to you and yours. Happy Friday Eve to you and yours, man. Episode 115. Peace to everybody out there. Like we usually do somewhere around this time. It's your boys. 2/3 of the mightiest of the mighty, the Ringside Club. We're in the building tonight. Once again, this is episode 115. Appreciate everybody for checking us out. We're live right now on X, live right now on YouTube. Of course, you can catch us across all socials. Make sure you follow us. IG, Threads, TikTok, X, of course, the aforementioned. You can subscribe to the podcast on YouTube for the video. If you're not watching live, you can definitely catch the on-demand. Plus Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much every other podcast platform we're available. That being said, my name is A.O. Baker. Chad, what up?
Kid Chad Law, CHADLAW, taking it back to the essence of the pod, going back to the car phone right now, on location, live outside the gym. You know what I'm saying? Had to get my sweat in, had a class, trying to get these album reviews done. If y'all check my Instagram, my TikTok, y'all can make sure y'all get my CL first listens, all the latest albums that I've been checking out and giving my first listen reviews to. Just appreciate all the support, you know what I'm saying? Everyone that's been checking it out. Artists, if you want me to listen to your album, I suggest that you please add lyrics. All right? I am not Rap Genius. I'm not Rob Markman. I'm not AZ Lyrics. What's the other lyric site we use, man? It was the top two. It was the best one was Genius and AZ.
I just use Genius, and man, like I could definitely just upload the Genius.
You know what I'm
Just put your
saying?
lyrics right there on
So,
Genius, man.
Independent or major, if you don't got lyrics to your album, yo, like please, I beg you to just put the lyrics to your album so we can rap along, man. Like, ain't nothing worse than misinterpreting some of the entendres that y'all say, whether it's fire or not. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure I'm getting it right. So, just a little
Wasn't hip, man. Wasn't hip to the lingo.
Right. I didn't know that's what you said. You know what I mean? You merge the words together. You mumble too much. You know what I mean? The production. Sometimes the beat done take over the song, and it's like I don't even care what he said. The beat was fly.
Sometimes there's too many plugins on them vocals, man. Y'all done done it. It's too much.
Sometimes I wish I could like quote the beat. Not to
Yo, you heard what the kick said? It's crazy.
Not the sample, but that beat said way more than you might have said on that track, man.
Often.
Yes. So that's a goodie. That is definitely a goodie.
Yeah, I wish I could quote the beat. It's hilarious. Shouts to I Standard producers, boy.
I Standard the game, man.
That is very funny.
Oh man, it's worth it.
That is very funny.
I can give you the feeling, man. Pause.
Yeah, yes, sir. So, we're here right above my head, right above the switchblade and above the on-air sign is a QR code that'll take you to the newest drop, the Wrestle Hats, the first drop in the Wrestle Hats collection by Part of My Fresh. What I'm doing right now, I'm doing like an official drop. I want to say I'm kind of playing around with 316 day. That might be a nice day to drop. It's actually a Sunday, but it's available right now for anybody that does happen to be tapped into this here. You could just scan it and pick it up before they sell out because they're going to move. Good quality piece of material here. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is that Everything is Pro Wrestling leather trucker. You know what I mean? Trucker hats have been synonymous with pro wrestling since the beginning, but not like this. You know what I mean? Had to freshen that up a little bit. So, and pick that up. That's available. Partofmyfresh.com, wrestlehats.com.
Question.
Yes,
sir. How do you clean a white hat?
That one is leather, so you can just wipe it off.
Wipe it off? All right, good. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
know 50 Cent makes white snapbacks and white fitteds very prominent. And I'm always just like, man, I don't know how you do the white fit.
Some
It takes me back to like 06, 08 when
yeah,
we used to
some of
have
them
like the
joints
Warner
might be
Brothers
one and
TVs
done. Yeah,
with the
some of them are
big
one
white
and done. Like
Yankee.
you can't wear even with like a white tee, you wear that joint outside one day and it's a done
Yeah,
deal.
it's done. It's a
You know,
done deal.
especially like that's summertime wear. You getting one wear out of that. You gotta change that a couple times a day.
I ain't going front. I used to be a dirtbag. I used to wear the same white tee at least 3 times a week. I'm
Nah,
very hygienic, but you know what I'm
used to
saying?
wash them. Yeah,
Back in the day, you'd wear like the rotating like white tees until they faded out. But now it's like, dog, you moving so much, you can't wear the same tee at all.
yeah. Like if you put one of them joints on, man, like it's a little whatever happened in your day, that's pretty much gonna be on your shirt.
It's on your
So
jacket. That's your
yeah,
stains for the day.
yeah, it's on your jacket in multiple ways, man. I mean, so nah, but this one is like if there's any kind of material like a cloth of any sort, just throw it out the window once it's done, man. But that's a leather joint, so you could just
Hard.
you know what I mean.
That's tough.
But yeah, man. Other than that, peace to the good Sir Blaine Boogie. You
Shout
know,
out to all y'all that's been checking on us too. You know what I'm saying? We still alive and well. You know what I'm saying? We working,
yo,
living.
bro. Speaking of alive and well,
People thinking
one
that,
of the
yo, the pod done. What happened? What's going on? I'm like, yo,
nah,
dog. It's
one of the main reasons why we didn't pod last week is because I caught the flu, bro. That joint had me down for the 2.999. I kicked out, but the 2.999 Earl Hebner championship
boy
count,
was
man.
done for the week, son.
Bro, listen, man. Monday last week, I was cool. Tuesday, I was not. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, completely done. Friday started feeling better, and I'm kind of good to go now. And then, of course, like
Right.
this
So,
past Tuesday was my birthday. So,
time for the B day.
yeah, it was cool, man. Had some family by, kept it low key. It was snowing. So, wasn't trying to play around in that
Don't get
anyway.
more February of a birthday than that, yo.
Yeah, it used to be like every week before my birthday would be like a nor'easter. I'm talking like 90s, early 2000s,
I
there would be
remember
a
times.
nor'easter, full blizzard status. But I've been lucky the last few years. A little bit of snow this year. It wasn't too crazy.
It's all washed away for the most part now. Like I
Yeah.
literally looking at the
Yeah,
grass.
we're out of here. I think I might sprinkle a little bit over the weekend, but nothing crazy. I think we're on the other side of that now. Now it's
See the
time to look forward
stores.
to the
The stores is outlandish, man. Anytime you see a snowstorm, everybody act like it's the end of the world. Like, oh my god, I gotta get everything. And it's like, yo, geez,
you
we're in New
don't.
York. We're in New York City.
Yeah.
This
Nothing
is
stops, man. This is
this is
regular.
it's snow in February. Like, you just got a shoulder shrug. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
this is regular. Now for all of my Atlanta folk and my down south, anytime y'all get a sprinkle, man,
they going through it, dog.
shut it down.
I'm glad I've avoided that chaos. I was there during the pandemic I was there before. The last time it snowed in Atlanta was January 2020, and I remember that vividly because that was the day that Kobe Bryant died. That was crazy. That was wild. That like it was snowing in Atlanta and Kobe Bryant had passed away. So I remember sitting in my apartment and it was snowing, and I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
did we really get that news just now? Like,
I remember exactly where I was at. And I ain't gonna shout the restaurant out, but I was at the restaurant at the bar, and then it got very quiet. Because it was like a sports bar type of vibe, so the screens were showing nothing but that, and it got quiet, and everybody was like, "Yo,
yes. So
what?"
snow in the South, it's not fun. It's definitely not fun. They're not prepared at all. So
Not at all. Not at
but
all.
grateful to be here right now. Shout out to New York, man. No place
Yeah,
like
man.
home.
Tell you what, man. Episode 115 is kind of cool
Ooh,
to start off with some good news,
please,
man.
man. I love to hear that, man.
Episode
Boy,
115, man.
man.
It's kind of dope though to start off with some good news in the wrestling world, which sometimes is kind of hard to come by. It's hard to come by decent news in general, man. It's just a wild time in human history, but
Connect.
there's some dope
Yeah.
news, man. Your man Chris Bay, first of all, I believe today is his birthday,
Yes, sir. Happy birthday,
and
Chris Bay.
then he posted that he posted a video of himself and then posted a statement. The video was him pretty much getting up and walking towards the camera, man. And then he in his actual post gave some information that I'd heard rumblings about, but we actually haven't heard from Chris Bay since he got injured, I believe back in October. um but long story short, man, he got paralyzed in a match, and immediately lost control of his hands, couldn't walk, and I think was in the hospital until December 28th, and now in rehab. Pretty much learning how to put himself back together again. But he had a fusion surgery on his neck, a couple of I think vertebrae in his neck. But the bottom line, man, and the good news is that we saw Chris Bay. It looks like he's on the road to recovery. He mentioned like whether he wrestles or not, that is like secondary. The fact
Got
that
it.
he's able to move around after, I would imagine, one of the top scariest moments of his life.
You know what's crazy?
Imagine walking down to the ring doing what you've done thousands of times, and then all of a sudden you can't move your limbs. You know,
I was gonna say he Chris Bay don't wrestle a crazy style either. He's not a
yeah, he's
he's
not
X
reckless.
division guy, but he's not a
He's not
flippy
reckless.
floppy run around like the
Yeah,
spot that it happened on. Like if you look it back, it's like I could have given that move. Like, and I'm not, what I'm saying I'm a trained guy, you're a trained guy, but like it wasn't a 450 630 senton over the turnbuckle. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Like it was the
Yeah,
neck breaker, which
routine.
I mean, given the name title, it was like it is a routine move. You know what I mean? So
Right.
just
Yeah. I'll just briefly
red belt.
go through some of his statement or whatever, but um it's basically he said it's October. He's paralyzed in the middle of the ring, fused his C6 and C7 spinal cord fusion C6 to T1.
So
He thanked TNA's medical staff for reacting pretty quick. Otherwise, he said I may not be here. Says he woke up the next day overwhelmed with the amount of love from the wrestling community, devastated with the idea that his lifelong dream and 8-year wrestling career was over. Like I mentioned, paralyzed from the neck down with no promises of ever walking again, right? So just fast forward in a little bit, spent about a week in the ICU, 50 days in a spinal cord rehab facility in Detroit, doing therapy 6 days a week for 3 hours a day. December 28th, he was able to go home. And then he pretty much just said thank you. He said if you reached out, donated, bought merch, said a prayer, did any little thing, even as simple as sharing a thought, he says, thank you. I'm eternally grateful for every single one of y'all. There's so much more to the story, but please allow me all the time to get there. So shouts to Chris Bay. Happy to see him up on his feet on
that
that road to recovery. And I just, I saw a lot of people, man, that uh, that all mutuals are ours, just happy. Quote tweeting that and let a pretty good vibe out into the air on this Thursday. So once again, shouts to the good sir Chris Bay.
shout out to my guy, man. Much love, much respect. Prayers up. You get back, in the space soon. I ain't saying you got to wrestle, but at least just be, back on TNA television soon. Especially with this merger with NXT, like Chris Bay on NXT programming would have been superb, man. Like that's a guy who I would have loved to see, walk through the portal. So absolutely, get well soon, my G, and hope to hear some new music soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, with that being said, what I'm
Walking through the
gonna
portal. Speaking of the portal,
speaking of the portal, right? There were a lot of names and moving and shaking happening
I
this week.
loved it. It felt like a nice shakeup. Like it was good considering like you see a lot of things between NBA trade week, NFL trades trying to go down. Like it was cool to see WWE and AEW kind of not getting their trade, but the release trade, I guess you could say it is. Pause.
Yeah. So let me I think we can start off at least chronologically. I'm gonna pull up
Chronological is funny.
the WWE.
You got it right there.
I'll pull up the WWE releases because those happened first. So the names right now that I see in front of me are Duke Hudson. He was released. Paul Ellering was released. AOP, Cedric Alexander, Sonya Deville, Blair Davenport, the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, Isla Dawn, Giovanni Vinci, Elektra Lopez. Once again, from the bottom on up, Elektra Lopez, Giovanni Vinci, Isla Dawn, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, Blair Davenport, Sonya Deville, Cedric Alexander, Razor and Akam of AOP, Paul Ellering, and Duke Hudson. Off top,
Well,
the very clear path, the clearest path, I think, for me, out of everybody on that list seems to be Cedric Alexander. Just because the Hurt Syndicate is,
we hurt people.
yeah, we heard people. The Hurt Syndicate is killing it in AEW, current tag team champions. And that faction did damage in WWE first as the Hurt Business, which Cedric Alexander was obviously a part of. And he's a guy that, as long as he's been, it seems like he's been what, like 8, 10 years in WWE. That was obviously the most, notable thing that he was a part of. So kind of only makes sense that once that 90 days is up, let's get the band back together, and that'll be a good look for all of the above,
What's 90 days again off the top of my head?
For
February.
him, that's looking like April, May, like summertime, top of the summer, just about.
That'll put us right before Double or Nothing. Mm,
Yeah, we're looking at May. I
bad,
got I gotta get an exact. Let me see if I get an exact date on Double or Nothing, but that might work out.
not bad at all, honestly. That's actually pretty good. That's a pop. I like that. I really do like that. I think it'll breathe a new life into him, and because it's already an established act, it won't feel so far off. And you know what? If they're giving us another Undisputed Kingdom reunion, yeah, why can we not get a Hurt Syndicate reunion just one time?
I agree, especially considering that one of the biggest knocks that everybody had on behalf of the Hurt Syndicate was, look at what you squandered. Look at the potential of this group that you squandered when they went WWE, which that's when Cedric was active back then. So this would be a good time to not only bring them back together and get that reunion, but again, fully realize the potential of that group. What they've been able to do is the Hurt Syndicate in the couple of months that they've been there pretty
Best
much
growth,
eclipses anything that
best.
they've done. Yeah, eclipses anything they did as the Hurt Business. The date for Double or Nothing is Sunday, May 25th this year. So feels like that 90 days would be wrapped up by then.
Perfect surprise. I think Cedric would fit in well with that international division with Takeshita and Ricochet and them. Like I think it would be really good. You got the trios division, and they could easily just go ahead and take over. That seems to finally be on the rise. It seems to finally be coming back to life. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, man. Like I like the potential of what can happen with Cedric Alexander as a free agent, possibly going back to his running mates, man. Think about it. Like Billy Gunn goes back with the Guns, and they pair up. Not to say this feud continues on for the next 90 days, but that's a trio
SmackDown
feud.
rolls on.
That's a trios feud right there. Undisputed Kingdoms, a trios feud right there. When it's finally time to like legitimately kill the Death Riders, that's a trios feud right there. Like there's
Bingo.
Shane Taylor Promotions if they want to just cross paths on ROH. You know what I mean? They got Daniel Garcia in 2.0 if they want to toss them around. Like there's a lot of faction warfare, and it's something that AEW is always prominent in. So I think this is even better. And I think this, although some people could feel like it's another WWE guy coming in and, giving that whole spiel, I think this particular case, though, will do wonders and do much better because they're already established. They've got history and they're over and they can put on a damn good show. So I think this is very much so a good call if this is to come to life. I don't think Cedric has to do Japan, TNA. Like I just land over here, man. Like bypass the we're giving out cards. We're trying to find new members. Yeah, yeah, cut all that ish.
Yeah, we just we
Cut
we
that.
already know who our boy is. Come through.
We got Cedric. We will continue to hurt people. We don't need any more new people. As a matter of fact, everyone we gave a card to, we're gonna double back and keep whooping y'all ass. So here we go.
I
We
agree.
hurt people.
I
We
agree.
hurt.
And the interesting thing about like the this person or that person as a WWE guy when it comes to Cedric is, I guess technically he, because he's been there what,
Before AEW.
yeah, but he never really reestablished himself or reinvented himself or did anything so big that he's like a WWE guy. He was a guy that was at WWE. I think it's a difference there. So I think that goes immediately out of the window. Like I could even see the argument that some people had, even though I disagree. I see the argument for like a Bobby Lashley or a Cedric Alexander. Like those are WWE guys, even though Bobby's like a TNA guy. Like Bobby that we know is like that's TNA.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so Cedric, anybody else on that list that piqued your interest as far as trying to figure out what their next move is?
Duke Hudson. I think he will reinvent himself in Japan. I think he'll find a way out there. Bullet Club's always hiring, so I think Duke Hudson will probably find a new life out there, being on some like David Finley or whatever variation of the Bullet Club is running around right now. Also, we'll talk about New Japan. I'm sure you were tight. Zack Sabre Jr. lost that belt. You know what I'm saying? Crazy, crazy, crazy. We'll
I
get to that.
actually, yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I gotta catch up, but
We'll get
I
to
mean,
that.
cool. Like, I think the I could touch that real quick. Like
Let's,
the win was cool. The rain. There was a couple of dope matches in there. How long is he gonna hold the title? You know what I mean? Like, we don't need 15-year reigns, bro. Like,
so you cool with the yo? At least he got the belt. He had a run. That's it.
it's not even that at least he got the belt. I think, to be fair, he wasn't, as a world champ. Zach wasn't knocking it out of the park when it came to selling tickets. As the top guy, he just wasn't moving. You know what I mean? So at some point, it was very clear, if you're just talking from a business decision, that it's time to figure something else out. Now, from a match standpoint, and as a fan of Zach, cool, he got the win, and I think he had a reign. I got a chance to see him enter England as the champ. Like, to get
That was
that hero's welcome. He defended it. He walked in the Wrestle Kingdom weekend as the champ and walked out still champ, which a lot of people can't say that at all.
right.
So there's some highlights and there's some bullet points next to his name and next to his reign, and I'm happy that they took the risk to see what we could actually do. You know what I mean? But it's cool. Like, now it's Goto's turn. Let's
Go
go.
to. So I've been
Goto is the
seeing
go-to.
he is he's the Sami Zayn type of guy for New Japan, the underdog, the
Yeah,
pride
it
of
was one of those,
pride.
like, people been rooting for him for a very long time to hold that title, and now he has the opportunity to do so. You know, I also saw one of his upcoming defenses is going to be against Tanahashi, which is, Tanahashi's on that farewell tour.
Yes.
So immediately coming out of the gate, there's a couple of, dates to circle as far as uh Goto's reign. But nah, I'm cool with it, man. Like, I'm not, I ain't been out of shape about anybody winning and losing. I'm happy that Zach got that title. That was a big ass moment for me as a fan, but it's over. It's cool.
Do you think he comes to the States? You think he stays New Japan?
Nah, I think he stays in New Japan. It seems to me that that was always his thing. Now, obviously, people, once you achieve something, that you start to try to figure out what your next goals are. But Zach has had the opportunity like, Zach's 35, 36 years old. You know what I mean? It's not like he's 25 or 26. So Zach, for a very long time, has had the opportunity. He turned down that WWE contract after the Continental Classic. I'm pretty sure at some point or another, Tony Khan has made an offer, at least, like, hey, if you ever want to come. He spent a lot of time at Ring of
Headlining
Honor,
our show. Well, not say headlining, but you've had feature marquee matches on
feature
prime
marquee
pay per views.
matches on pay-per-view when he was the New Japan TV champ. He spent a lot of time on Ring of Honor around the same time that Samoa Joe was the Ring of Honor
Yeah,
TV champ. So and he's always verbatim, like, he's always said that my dream was to be, a New Japan guy, to live in Japan. He's learned the language. He lives in Japan to this day. Like, he speaks Japanese fluently. Um, he never really struck me as a guy that's like, all right, once my time here is up, I'm leaving. I think that this was always his goal, his North Star. So,
okay.
could be wrong. I know we've said that about a bunch of different people in different situations, and then they ended up moving on somewhere, but I think he'll be there.
You got what's a good. Well, it is a good segue actually. I'll say that. That's a good one because after that title, you know what I'm saying, title change, kind of like where does CSJ go next? Does he stay and go back for the belt? Does he go down a division? What happens next? So that's where I say Duke Hudson, enter him. Maybe he won't work with ZSJ, but he'll go to New Japan. Elektra Lopez, I think, will just chill on IG probably for a while and probably have some like Ash by Elegance run in TNA through the back door. Like I think she'll just, you know what I'm saying, pop up back there under a new name. AOP, big question mark. I think they should go to TNA.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I've said it 1,000 times, so I'll make this very quick. I just never really understood why it didn't work with AOP, because just from an optic standpoint, they look like impressive as hell. The gear was always dope. Back when they were with Seth Rollins, this most recent run when they were with Karrion Cross, we don't need them doing like again 450s and moonsaults and all that. They're just big guys. The Super Collider is a dope name and a dope move, but for whatever reason, their multiple runs in WWE just haven't really amounted to anything notable. So
Noteworthy at all.
they're out of here again, and let's see. I think TNA it would be dope. That's a shot in the arm for their tag division. We'll see.
Necessary need. Um, who else we listed? I said Electra, AOP,
Yeah,
Duke
good
Hudson.
brothers, good brothers, man.
Yo, isn't Carl
Shouts
Anderson injured? Carl Anderson's injured right now, I
that
think, too.
that's
So
the craziest part is like you don't really see releases when somebody is like actually injured. They usually add time.
they were like, "Yo, you guys can just get out of here, man. It's all good."
You could just leave whenever you want to leave, man. The door is definitely open for y'all to go.
Yo, I thought about that when I heard his name. Like when you said the text dude and was talking about it, I was like, "Yo, what if he was like in the middle of like physical therapy or something like medically related to this injury?" And they're just like, "Yeah, you're out of a job now, bro."
That's wild to me, man.
Yeah, so
That's
I don't
wild.
know. I do they go back to Japan or do they just reinvent themselves again? Because I just don't think they can do this Good Brothers flipping back and forth between companies shtick again.
I all right, so maybe not the getting big money contracts, maybe not the big money contract from WWE or AEW, but they'll definitely be brought in for a run at AEW. I can see them being brought in for a run at TNA. Same thing with New Japan. I don't think they have to reinvent themselves to where they have to change anything about their act. At this point, we know what we're getting with the Good Brothers. A lot of that is personality driven, and the personalities work. You know what I mean? So I think it really at this point depends on like the right program, right creative, if there's something interesting for them to be a part of. But the big money contract, I think they cashed in.
They remind me of Jeff Green, Taj Gibson, any NBA player journeyman that has been to every NBA team. So much so that they've went back to said NBA team twice already. That
Yeah.
is the Good Brothers, yo. The Good Brothers are definitely on the bench in the warm up suit, but they're like, yo, when did they get back to TNA?
You know what the good to your point 100%, but they also if you do bring them off the bench, they're liable sometimes to go
To
for
the
30 out of
yes,
nowhere.
yes, yes,
Out
yes.
of
They'll hit it
nowhere.
out
Like,
the park.
oh, I understand. Remember.
Yes,
I
yes.
remember. Like Jeff Green will give you buckets to this day. You know what
On
I'm
the
saying?
Houston Rockets bench, Uncle Jeff get right in the game,
As
and you know
soon
what I
as
mean?
soon as
Yeah,
he take them warm ups off, it's like, man, this might be you know what I mean? This might
what
be some
year is
motion right
this?
here. Yeah. This might be some motion right here.
Yeah, so I
Sonya
guess
Deville.
TNA knockouts, future knockouts champion, man. I think she goes right through the portal and just we see her in TNA as a knockouts champion, man. The knockouts division really needs a shot in the arm, like tremendously, 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 tremendously. And not to say that Masha isn't a good champ, but she's just not Jordan Grace as far as popularity. So it's just really going to take some time. Tasha Steeles is merging with Mustafa Ali now. I see. So the knockouts division can use some good looks because right now they're all tag teams. Danny Luna, Spitfire, Jody Threat, Rosemary. It's just a lot of tag team, which is cool. I messed with them, you know what I mean, pushing the knockouts tag division, but Masha looks like she's built up for a Jordan Grace type of reign, and it's like that's by default because just like Jordan, she kind of just mowed through all the competition. There's nobody credible. So I think that's where Sonya comes in and thrives tremendously, tremendously in the knockouts division.
And I'm here for it, man. Sonya Deville's been somebody I've always been a fan of. You know, going back to her initial gimmick of pretty much like the fighter, when she's coming
Yes.
out with the gloves and tying her hair up and all that, which I thought that was my favorite version of Sonya Deville. When she started to change up, I think she kind of lost a little bit of the edge until most recently when they were doing the
It's the best she's looked, yo. Like she
yeah.
looks finally like fully complete as a character, and it's crazy that they just like cut the wheels from that. But I think it was the right call because that group went nowhere. They were
Yeah, the
doing what
group
they
the, the group was terrible from the time they named it. You know what
It
I
was
mean? That was the big problem with that group. Was like, what is pure fusion collect? What does this mean? Y'all just found some words out the box and threw them together, basically.
now they're officially a tag team, but I think Shayna Baszler still has a lot of longevity as a singles act. Zoe Starks, she's like Goofy Gangster to Shayna Baszler.
Yeah, but again, like Zoe Stark
But Zoe
has
can go. She can go, but
exactly
she gives me Raquel Rodriguez personality
when she's
vibes.
with the
Like,
group. Yeah,
yeah,
when she's with somebody, but like put her in that IC or put her in that US division, I think she's doing damage. You know what I mean? Shayna Baszler, I will never forgive them for what they did to Shayna Baszler coming out of NXT.
so geez. How about I just watched Elimination Chamber 2020?
Is that when she was biting? It was like she was a vampire for
Bro,
15 minutes.
wow, holy
You
smokes.
remember that? She
Oh
came
my
out, she was
god.
just biting
I
people and bleeding
forgot.
out the mouth, bro.
I forgot that. This was the one where she dominated the entire Elimination Chamber and won the whole thing. Remember that one?
Yeah.
That is ranked as one of the worst Elimination Chambers by many people, just off the sheer fact that, like, yo, there was nothing to this match. Like, it was a dominating Shayna Baszler performance, but yo, it was just a bad call having her come through as the, like, basically she came in so early into the match and she killed everybody that it was just like,
Like, and if you're gonna
what do we
sacrifice the
do?
match for that, then you gotta have a good follow
Good
up, and you
follow
need
up.
to you need to have a
Yeah.
plan. And they look what they did.
Like, that's the bookmark you go back to with Shayna Baszler. It's like, yo, she's dominant. Like, look at her Elimination Chamber run. Like, she eliminated Asuka. She beat up everybody. She was killing time in the ring, waiting for the pie. Like, all right, so what happened after that?
Womp
Uh,
womp, man.
she was on NXT and she lost to Lola Vice in an
Bad
underground match.
news.
So yeah, you know what I mean. That Shayna needs a reboot. Sonya goes to TNA.
Yeah,
So
I like to see it. I definitely would like to see it.
think that was it for WWE.
As far as I mean, I don't know if they have more releases or not.
No, I think that was the names all you said. All the names
Oh,
that you mentioned.
for yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, Blair Davenport. I
She's
think you mentioned.
lost. She's cooked, man. I don't know. She's NWA to me. She's no
I
character. Timu Jamie Hayter.
Yeah, we'll see. Moving over to AEW.
Oh, before we get to AEW, don't forget Josh Alexander wrestling his final match against Eric Young
I just
right
saw it.
now,
I
right
just
now
saw
on
it.
TNA.
I just
I
saw it.
believe it's his final match. I don't want to speculate. This is
If I'm not mistaken, I think he's officially available after the 16th. So pretty much next week. We'll see. Maybe there'll be some Josh Alexander news popping up here and there.
and man.
We'll
Ooh,
see, dog. Like I
ooh.
look at the Josh Alexander. I look at some of the names we're about to mention, and you know what this reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of AEW of recent. It reminds me of WWE before AEW, where it's like, yeah, let's sign this person. Yeah, let's sign them. Let's sign them. And then there's going to be a bunch of people in one spot, and somebody's not going to be happy. So I hope that with the space that they're given, especially with like Evolve for the up and coming kids and these different programs that are coming up, NXT is about to just be, if you're new, you don't go here anymore. This is for people coming in to learn the system pretty much. Um, and we'll see. And then like it's also this time of year right now, and why I think one of the names Ricky Starks, why I think he popped up on NXT specifically was not only because NXT is kind of hot right now, but we're in the middle of WrestleMania season, and a lot of these storylines are already locked up, whether they're playing themselves out on TV yet or not. So to have him come or anybody come to WWE in the middle of Mania season is very, very easy to get lost in the shuffle, especially with how top heavy the main event scene is right
It's
now.
perfect, bro. I think it's absolutely perfect for Ricky. Are we still on, you want to go to Ricky or you want to finish up on Josh?
I'm gonna just
They want
yeah,
to
we
merge them
can
together basically because I think
yeah.
that's the only one from TNA. Like it's not, you know what I mean? It was just Jordan's already here. It's official. Jordan Grace after the Rumble is a WWE star, so we'll
Yep.
see more of her on NXT moving forward. Looking forward to that. But I think Josh goes to NXT, man. I think he really should go to NXT. Like it's it's perfect. It's the reunion with Ethan. He's a dominant, enjoyable wrestler. He's got a great character. I think he can actually help that main event division along with said Ricky Starks. They need it because the wheel of moving up to the main roster is is moving by, and the men's side of NXT looks so weak in comparison to the women's side because there's 19 women's matches on a 2 hour show in one main event men's segment that you're just like, oh yeah, I forgot Obafemi's the world champion. It's like you got Austin Theory and Grayson Waller as the main event for the world title right now against Obafemi at Vengeance Day. We need a shot in the arm here with the men's division.
Yeah, I mean, Josh is one of those guys, man.
I
Josh is
don't
one
want to
of
see him
those.
go to AEW, yo. I don't. I don't.
I don't. I
I don't.
think that, like, look again. The AEW has been bloated for a long time, and the fact that they're letting some of those names go, it's not that they've been on TV anytime as of late anyway, but it just gets rid of that conversation about how come we're not going to do anything with this person, how come we're not doing anything with that person, and just focus on what we actually see on the TV. My only issue is more of a fear of like, haven't we been here before? Haven't we done this already? With let's just pick up this person and pick up that person and pick up this person and pick up that person. And at some point, WWE is going to be bloated.
That's why
It's
I
a
think
fact.
it's great that NXT is where it's at right now because there's enough space for people to thrive in right now. Like, remember we joked about it on the stream for the Rumble, like, yo, Motor City Machine Guns should have actually done NXT first. Like, I think they should have given that a good shot because they'd have given people more reason to care about them, particularly.
I
Josh could
think it
use
works. Like, I think Josh could go directly to SmackDown or Raw theoretically. Not at this time. Like, I don't think anybody should be going straight up to Raw and SmackDown right now. You're getting lost.
absolutely.
But I think if this was a different time, say this is, after Mania, if Josh debuts on Raw, I think he can go because he has a personality and he can talk. Like, I think if you look at Josh and just look at him, you're gonna, oh, this is one of those Kurt Angle real wrestler guys until he actually speaks, and it's like, nah, you remember how Kurt Angle had a personality? That's what got Kurt Angle over. And I think Josh Alexander has the same thing. Like, Josh, whether he was a face or a heel, especially as a heel as of late, he impressed the hell out of me with
Yeah, he,
just
he's
how
had to. I think that
just how dope
wifely
his, yeah, just
baby
how,
face aura that he had when he was the champion the first time
right.
kind of was like, yeah, you're working the kinks out your first title reign. But
Yeah, but
now,
he can
yes,
he can actually speak. I think
yes,
the difference, so to me, that's a difference between him and like the Motor City Machine Guns, at least that I haven't seen. They ain't really too much personality with the Machine Guns to me. You know
no.
what I mean? So it would have benefited them to go to NXT just to get people used to seeing them do what they do bell to bell and get over that way. You know, Josh Alexander can do all the above.
I think New Japan crazy enough. It's not NXT. I think he just lands in Japan. I
Which
think he has.
I'm here for
Yeah,
that too.
I'm not mad at a Japan
Yeah.
bro. I just don't want him to go to AEW. I don't want to see Josh Alexander on Collision. Like that's just me as a Josh Alexander stan. I just ain't ready for him to get lost in the shuffle of Ring of Honor. You know what I mean? Like intermingling in that orbit. I think Josh needs prime spotlight, whether it's NXT or just being one of the main guys in New Japan. Like maybe him and Duke Hudson find each other. Pause. Like it sounds crazy, but crazy things have happened. And for two guys to get released from both companies, Josh wants to go to Japan. Duke is a OG who knows the circuit. Like I said, Bullet Club's always hiring. They always seem to be hiring. So
I'm gonna keep it a bill. Like, if Josh, for whatever reason, found himself um in New Japan, I'd put him at up top in Bullet Club at once.
that's
You
what
know
I'm
what I mean?
saying.
If you want, like, to be able to lead a faction, be credible, you could talk on the mic, you can go in the ring. Bullet Club would be a nice little change of scenery, so to speak, for him. I always think about what that did for AJ Styles, for example.
Agreed. This is
You know
like
what I
the
mean?
rite of passage now. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Now we've seen you in a tag team. We've seen you lead a faction of a couple of young guys. Now we want to see you lead this faction that legit changed the business. And I think he could pull it off. You know
I
what I
think
mean?
he could too. I think he definitely could too. So I'm with that.
Yeah.
NXT side,
Ricky Starks. Let's
Starkman Jones,
the new Richard Holiday,
Remy Baptiste.
the artist formerly known as Absolute.
Yes, Mondu. Remy Baptiste is here in
My
NXT.
man say, my man Remy LeBeau.
was intriguing. Like it
Remy
was very
LeBeau.
intriguing when he popped up. It definitely shook the whole internet. I couldn't believe it. I didn't even know it was happening. I didn't watch NXT live, so all I literally did when I got home was I opened Twitter after a couple hours, and I just was like, immediately Ricky Starks is in the NXT zone. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, they turned it up. This is crazy. Already crazy. Looking forward to his Chris Van Vliet. Can't wait. Can't wait for that one. So tell me about your time in AEW. Like how things go. I can't wait to just see what happens after this. Like WWE knew what they had with this one. Shawn Michaels was on the phone immediately. That was great work. Like that was like when Carl Anthony came to the Knicks overnight. That was dope. I ain't gonna say he Carl Anthony level, but they both ain't won championships, so they ain't. You know what I mean? They kind of there too. You know what I mean? They NBA champions or world champions, but as far as excitement, that's hype. That's dope. That was a good swap. I'm here for Ricky Starks in NXT, man. This division is gonna be his, yo. Anybody that says Ricky Starks is the main roster, cut it out. Cut it out. I can't do it, man. Like we said, it's WrestleMania, wrong season. Like, don't do
Yeah,
it.
this ain't the time.
This ain't it.
This ain't
This
the
ain't it.
time.
This ain't it.
And I think like the
He'll be the man in NXT, bro. Literally. He'll take over and he'll bring it back to that era, I feel like.
look, we'll see. I'm gonna keep it a bill. I've never really been the big. I've liked Ricky.
Yeah, you were the Ricky.
I liked Ricky Starks the most, like NWA days.
I see. That's why I first called Ricky Starks live at NWA
Yeah,
in Georgia.
that's
So
when I
like,
first caught him. I don't know if it's a matter of like in AEW. I think he's done some dope things here and there, but I've
what do you
never
think
been
was the
like.
final straw? What do you think was the last? What do you like?
I have no idea. Like
If you just had to just think about the Ricky Starks moment, like, what do you think was? What do you think
there were
was
just like a
icing
lot
for
of
the year?
there were
Because
a lot of weird promos. For example, the promo that he had with Copeland.
you think that was the one that really derailed it, though? You think it could have been?
I'm
Like, yeah, I looked at it again. I was like, I guess, but like to do like what like it don't it happened months after the fact though. Like you would think it would be an immediate.
Nah, but what I'm saying is like I don't think maybe there was one thing. I think it was probably just a buildup over time, but that was weird, man.
That was a
Like
weird promo.
Adam Copeland is not a guy that I've ever seen go off script, man.
Oh, come on, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like I've never seen Adam Copeland really go off script like that. So he got under his skin. You know, that means there could have been some other people, even if it was backstage. Like I have no idea.
I know,
Um,
I know. We ain't gossipy, you know what I mean? But I
yeah,
just, I'm
I have
thinking
no
about
idea.
just the last run because he had a strong year. Like, if I'm thinking about his last year, was actually good. Like, did he not do things that we thought was going to be good? He beat Chris Jericho, had the MJF feud. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
Tag title run with Big Bill. He had a match with Sting, the Punk strap
Wasn't
match.
it pretty much after they lost the belts with Bill?
It was over.
Yeah, what I read was, and take it with a grain of salt, but there was plans or at least creative um, ideas thrown around about Ricky and Big Bill feuding, and Ricky turned it down and said he didn't want to do it because he kind of already wanted to be out of AEW. So he's like, well, what sense does it make? Bill's going to be here. He's going to lose to a guy who's leaving. You know, so if I'm thinking
Okay.
about it from that point of view, Ricky Starks said that he was out. You know, I think he might have been offered a contract extension or a new contract and turned it down. He basically made it very clear that once my contract is up, I'm out. So that's really, if that's the truth, why he wasn't on TV. Why am I going to invest time, TV time in a guy who doesn't want to be here and it's said that he's not going to be here and his contract is coming up right around the corner? That's why he
What?
wasn't on TV.
But what ices him for a year if his contract's coming up? Was he injured? Was he really that injured? I don't recall him
I
being that
think
injured.
I think there was like a stinger or some kind of neck injury, and maybe when he came
You're
back
right.
from
You're
that.
right. He did
But
have a
with yeah,
hiatus.
but
Right.
within that time, like these contracts don't get written up 2 weeks prior. You know, these conversations are happening for a long time and negotiate, especially if you got an agent, lawyers get involved. So it seemed as though like whenever contract conversation came up, he's like, nah, I'm not. He's like, all right, well, yeah, we're not putting you on TV if you ain't re-signing. You
which
know?
makes all the most sense. Like, I don't think
Yeah,
it's. I don't. I think that layout is just exactly how it probably will be put to us in a Van Vliet interview from
right.
like, you know what I mean, or
I'm sure
subliminally
like
or
everybody's
exaggerate.
gonna have like their perspective, and he'll say like things got like he even was doing some interviews before where he was like, I have no idea why nobody's calling me. I have no idea what's going on. So who knows? You know, there could be a lot more to the story. Maybe these guys are under NDAs once once they're
True.
out of there. So we never really get the full thing. But
I won't
Ricky's
hypothesize too much on what becomes of Ricky Starks in NXT. I won't get ahead of myself, but I do think he's a big fish, small pond in that NXT sense. Maybe not the biggest fish, but he
I
could
think he
use.
has an opportunity. It's a fresh start for him.
Yes, like to the people who say he should go to the main roster and we could move on to the next name, I think it's completely NXT for him for the next year and change. If Trick Williams is going to go to the main roster, if Oba Femi could go to the main roster, Brooks Jensen is not carrying this men's division. Like if Ethan Page goes to the main roster, Javon Evans can do it, but Javon Evans ain't the most believable world heavyweight champion. You know what I'm saying? Like Lexus King cannot be the NXT World Heavyweight Champion face of that brand, man. You know what I'm saying? Like Sean
Lexus,
Spears cannot
Lexus
be
King,
the
man.
top dog. They're positioning Sean Spears in to have a good heel faction right now, but Sean Spears and Lexus King cannot be the top tier NXT main event talents. Like that just can't be it. So I think he should use this year that he has had off and reinvigorate himself and remind people why people enjoy Ricky Starks and for Ricky Starks for the next year. Personally, like
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
you've been off TV for a year, man. Come on, like
That's fair.
everyone's like, yo, he's got to pop up on Raw tomorrow. It's like, yo, geez,
I think that's
most people
fair, and I think
probably
like
won't know who he is. Like on that level, he's been off. Like Penta was at least active on AEW before his little break.
yeah,
You
but
know what I'm
also
saying?
like with Ricky Starks, I think NXT is the closest environment wise to when he was in the NWA, like
Yes,
studio wrestling, like a
studio
smaller
rep.
environment. Sometimes seeing the same fans, that continue to travel back and forth each week.
Yes,
So that by itself is going to give him an opportunity to kind of build that momentum and a
I agree.
familiarity with the audience and all that. So
I'm
we'll
here
see.
for
We'll see.
Starks.
Like
Here for Starks.
I think with Starks and then some of the other names that we're going to mention, like Miro and Black, Alistair Black. What I would hope is going to happen soon with Ray Phoenix is just like if you don't want to be in this situation, then I'm just happy that they're out of that contract. You know what I mean? Like I think it's whack for any company to just sit on talent if you know you're not going to use them. Like again, once it's clear to me that Ricky Stark says, "Nah, I'm not re-signing," and we're not talking about a whole lot of time left, and he's not a current champion holding a belt, he's not in a big program. What is the actual point in sitting on that contract? You know what I mean? Just part ways with whatever little goodwill that you have left instead of turning yourself into the heel company that's just hoarding talent. So with that
From
being said,
from an artist and a performer standpoint, even though you're not able to be on TV, wouldn't you be satisfied sitting at home or living your life collecting well, well, nice checks from a billionaire?
well, think back to WCW, right? When WCW got bought, there were some people that decided, nah, I'm gonna take the check and stay home. And there were some people that were like, nah, I'm in the prime of my career right now. Me
Buff
sitting home,
Bagwell,
Booker T.
yeah, Booker T.
Booker T. Him
Booker.
sitting home doesn't do him any good whatsoever.
I think Goldberg needed that year off though. I don't think you could have put Goldberg in the invasion. I don't think that was the move. Like certain people, when I look back on it, I'm like, I'm actually kind of glad they sat that year out.
I don't know because think about like Austin was still active.
You're right. You're right. All right, maybe it would have helped bolster it because
Yeah, I think about the
it was
people that were
jobbers.
on the WCW
It was
slab.
all
First of all, like,
jobbers. It was all jobbers.
think about the WCW. Not only I think
Mid cards and jobbers,
Booker T might
led
have
by
been the
Booker T.
biggest name. They
Mm-hmm.
ruined Diamond Dallas Page. They gave him that
Terrible.
stalker thing.
Chris
They
Canyon
had
was the next up.
they had to put Austin and Kurt Angle on the invasion side.
Looking back as I got older, I understood it because as a kid, I was like, "What are they doing? They're not even. Nah, what is this?" But then it was just like, as I'm gotten older, I'm like, "Yo, that roster was so bad. Like that.
That's what I'm saying. So like those big names, man,
Chuck
like
Palumbo was not cutting it, man."
right. But think about like Nash was past his prime, Hall was past his prime, Hogan was past his prime. You know what I mean? Sting was past his prime, but Sting didn't really even trust Vince's vision, period.
No.
Saw how long it took him to actually get. He did a whole TNA career.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So a lot of those big names, and then how can you blame him when you see what they did to Diamond Dallas Page, for example? Look at how hot DDP was, and then look what they did. He's a stalker, and then he retired. You know what I mean? Like terrible.
Former European champion.
Yeah.
One time.
So so to that extent, man, like I think it really depends. Like back to your point, would you want to stay home and take the check? Depends on if that makes sense for you where you are in your career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're still on the way up or you're in your prime, nah, put me. You know what I mean? Like I need to be outside because if I cool off, I might not heat back up.
You cutting my GCW bookings? I gotta go work for Defy for a weekend. Like a weekend, like because that's the only one you're gonna allow me to work. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit
Yeah,
crazy. So
don't
yeah,
do
I get
that.
it. I get it. I just try to see both sides of it when people are like, "Yo, they're getting paid a bolstering amount of money." Like, granted, you want to wrestle, but you're also getting paid. This is a contract. It is what it is. You got to abide by the contract. Like, a guy like Phoenix should be relishing in the fact that he's getting paid a lot of the money to just sit home right now until his contract is over. But I think if they cut his contract, you know who's flying off of the damn Titantron next Monday night on
Oh,
Netflix?
bro, like it's a wrap. It's up. You know what I
Yo,
mean? It's up.
especially after Starks, what they just did on Tuesday. Yeah,
It's up.
It's tough for Phoenix right now.
Phoenix is the one that I'm looking for. Even after like Alistair Black, he's available now, and Miro and all these guys. There's always Ray Phoenix. You know what I mean? I wanted Penna and Ray Phoenix to have singles runs for the longest time. Said it every other week on this podcast.
You know what's crazy, bro? I actually wouldn't mind if one of these guys would just be used. Like, what if you just use Ray Phoenix? Like, is it just gonna come down to he doesn't want to be here? Or it's like, yo, can you just use Ray Phoenix? Like, just put Ray Phoenix on television and just do what let's let him do what he does. Like
But again,
he's
like,
still a great guy. He's still a great wrestler. Like he's
look, I
exciting.
agree, but
So
think about like if you have a financial interest in AEW, and this guy Ray Phoenix or anybody else that we're talking about is not a current champion with as stacked as this roster is and it's bloated, there's too many people there. You're not gonna invest television time, which is worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, on a guy that you know in 6 months is out. Because you're helping him. That ain't really helping you.
you all right. That
Even
is
if it's just to beat him. All right, now that you beat him, what does the win mean?
it makes sense though, because everybody that spoke out publicly that they want to be out is pretty much minus Andrade, I think has just been iced. Andrade like ended AEW with such a bang in that Continental Classic that he just came back, did a year stint in the WWE, then got mushed out the Rumble by Jacob Fatu.
I mean, don't get me started down there, man.
That was a legendary moment, man, that we caught
That
live.
was bad news.
That was legendary. So you are right. To
I'm
your point, some of these
afraid I got some bad news for you,
you're
brother.
right. Some of these guys could face the same fate if they switch companies. It might not be all roses in the end. You know what I'm
I
saying?
think it's just the fact that there's only so much time. Like even with WWE that has like 5, 7, 8 hours of TV during a week, at some point there's too many people here. That's why I'm glad that TNA is having the run right now because I think it might hopefully theoretically make the company more attractive to some of these names, and maybe I
Yes.
don't think any of these names like these big Miro ain't going. He's not going to TNA. He's going to AEW. It's Rusev Day all over again. But in general, like I'd love to see TNA like really reestablish themselves on a bigger level. You see the arenas that they're doing. They're doing UBS and all that. Like hopefully that comes with more money, which can then translate to them making bigger offers and more attractive offers, just to give these people somewhere to be where they don't just sit around and kind of middle around the middle of the card all the time. We'll see.
Miro.
Rusev Day.
Rusev days. You think he goes right back to Rusev?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess why not.
Yeah.
Don't be Miro.
Yeah.
Just watch that Miro. Just wash it all off.
Yeah. I mean, I loved the Miro character at points. I thought the music was hard, but I don't know what the hell happened, man. Like the last cool thing I remember him doing, I think, was the match with Hobbs. You know,
The last thing I remember was Tony Khan saying that match wasn't even happening with everyone that weighed 300 pounds and
yeah,
was
it's like
also
weird.
injured at the same time. Like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, I forgot. Keith Lee, Miro. Oh, you guys are injured, so match off. Like, oh,
yep,
okay. Like, he beat Andrade. That was his last good match. That was a solid match. He had a match with Hobbs. He came in as a Kip Sabian's best man. He was in the
strange.
video
Off
games.
top,
He had
off
blonde
top.
hair. He was doomed, son. He is yo, Miro has to be the wrestling equivalent to Paul George, yo. Like Miro fleeced 7 figures. Like, yo, dogs. What a finesse, son.
Dog, I'd
That
be.
was
Did he wrestle?
crazy.
Did he even wrestle 20 matches?
Yo, couldn't
You
have
know what
been
I'm
20
saying?
matches.
Like he might
Couldn't
not
have
have
been
wrestled 20
20
matches.
matches. That is insane, though. I went through a whole divorce, a character change, less than 20 matches, and it's like, yeah, I just got mad M's and now I'm just chilling, man. I'm in Bulgaria for like the next 6 months. You know what I mean? Holla at me if you need me.
Crazy
What a
talk,
life.
bro.
What a life to live. Like, he's got to go back to WWE at some point. Might not be soon, but at this rate, you never know. Like, the army tank could pop up at one of these PLEs overseas and you just see Rusev come out and it's like,
Yeah,
oh, Rusev Day. Like, the crowd would lose
I
their mind. They'd
I
lose their
think
shit.
that's what it
They'd
is,
lose
and I
their
think
edge.
there's some big matches that he can have. Again, on paper and theoretically, but a standoff. Imagine with, let's say, Rusev, Jacob Fatu. Like, let me see
Rusev
that.
Braun Breaker.
You know what I mean? There's some names. Just there's a
Just
couple of moves.
imagine when he got
There's
to
a
get
couple
stuck
of
in the vortex on SmackDown with Braun Strowman. Come on, man.
look.
Bronson Reed. There we go.
So yeah, the Bronson Reed Rusev match. Let me see that.
That's
Imagine
Netflix right there
we
for
finally get a quality Penta versus Rusev match after both of them leave. You know what I mean? They're no longer all elite. Now we can get a dope match. You know, we'll see.
he is gonna look a lot better. He looked a lot better in AEW, like physically. So I think
He
this
did.
is like he's gonna look great coming back. He's gonna look like a completely different person. I hope he doesn't do the same hairstyle. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. I can't nitpick it, but
Yeah,
Rusev coming back.
we'll
Rusev
see what he
coming
does. But yeah, it's definitely Rusev Day backing us up.
back. And
Alistair
Black,
Black is back to Malachi Black.
Malachi Black's back to Aleister Black. No, yeah, Malachi Black is now Aleister Black.
Damn, I'm confused now.
They basically kept the same gimmick when it came to AEW, but just changed the name.
No, he's the same.
He's
He's
the same
nothing
person.
changed about
Yeah,
him.
yeah, just the name.
Going all the way back to when he was Tommy End, his character has been the same. You know what I mean? And again, like I think he's dope. It seems like the knock on him has always been like, dope character until you give him too much creative control, and then it
Yes,
starts getting weird.
yes.
And
That's
there seems to be more freedom in WWE, but there is always going to be a shorter leash in
agreed.
WWE. So if they have a good idea for him and they produce him and he's down to play ball, and can't say anything about him as far as entrance is concerned and bell to bell, like he's nice. He's nice. So, and his wife is there, Zelina's there. So
Only
maybe that
makes
helps to,
sense.
yeah, maybe he's happier in that sense. So we'll see.
I
But
like it.
he's
I
he's
like
he's
it.
definitely going back again. There's a bunch of interesting matchups that can happen and feuds that can happen. It just needs to be
Right
booked.
back to Seth, man. He gonna keep that eye up, yo. He gonna go right back to it. When they cut to the video
Yeah,
montage,
like I don't need that, bro.
I was there
Like,
for it. I was
no,
there
the
for it.
feud with
So
Seth, sure, but I don't need no eye pokes and drop
you
toe
just
holes on the
know,
corner of
bro.
the steps.
It's
Like,
gonna
I'm
be in
I'm
the
good.
video package. They're gonna say, "Yo, I spent 4 years in exile. You took my eye away. You took my life away." It's gonna be mad spooky.
Yeah,
It's
you
gonna be
saw
like
the.
AEW
Have,
never happened.
have you seen the commercial? There's like it's an anti-smoking joint, and it's one with the woman that's like getting her eye. She's getting shots in her eye. I mean, she's like, "Oh, my advice is don't smoke and look away as far as you can." I ain't
Yep.
trying. I don't need that in my wrestling, bro.
That's what they was on. That was a
Yeah,
different regime. I don't
that
think that
was,
they'll go
uh,
right back to it, but I think there'll at least be like the reason to be like, yo, I didn't forget. Like
yeah.
MF, I
We
didn't
can get
forget.
into something else entirely with
He's been
that,
rocking
man.
the eye thing for the last 5 years. What do you think it's gonna stop now? Like,
It was whack the whole time.
you think it's gonna stop now? It's his gimmick. Is he has a bad eye.
This is
He
why
took
you don't give everybody creative
he
control.
took the steps and made it a lifestyle for 5 years, B. I
This
got a
is why.
bad eye.
Yo, imagine having this conversation like in the back. It's like, yo, I got this great idea. What's that? I'm gonna stab you in the eye. Oh, all right.
Yo, yo, geez. I wish we was podding at that time so we can go back on our commentary of us talking about that actual storyline in real time. To fast forward to now and be like, yo, I can't believe they're revisiting this.
Cannot believe it, bro.
Like we survived the test of time for this getting revisited. So I think that's all the
Cannot believe
releases
it.
for the most part. Like everybody
Who
that's,
do we say? Ricky Starks. We have Miro.
Phoenix ain't going nowhere.
Phoenix is still locked up.
He ain't going nowhere. They won't let him out, man. But he knows it. Especially now, Starks ain't make it better for anybody else, man. If you wanted to go, good luck. They're pretty much just in purgatory right now because they're not letting Ray Phoenix pop up on Netflix with 6:30 cent time.
Okay.
It'll happen immediately. If you thought Ricky Stark showing up the same week, the first same week jump that I think I can recall, I don't think anyone's jumped the same week. Cope, but Cope took a couple months.
Yeah,
Cope took like
Cope
2 weeks.
took a little bit.
Cope took a little bit.
I mean, it's the difference between being released with the no compete versus without a no compete.
True,
You know,
true.
that's really what that is.
So,
Like, I
yeah.
think somebody's contract from W. I forget exactly which name, but one of those names was a contract. We're just not going to renew it, so there is no non compete. Some of those were early. Some of those weren't though.
Elias, before we move on, Elias is walking. I think it's Elijah.
Yeah,
Elijah is
Elijah. Yeah,
running with the righteous. So,
cool with it.
you know.
I'm cool with it. It's one of those things visually that just makes a whole lot of sense. So dope. I don't really have much else to offer
Yeah,
there, but dope.
we ain't gonna, talk down on ROH there, It's cool
I
program.
haven't watched in a while. I think the last thing I saw was
The
maybe Final
Minions.
Battle.
Athena's Minions was mine.
It's Final Battle.
I think the following week when she got rid of Lexi, I think it was.
Yeah, Lexi Nair.
Lexi Nair.
Yeah.
Yo, my wrestling names are impeccable with just the knowledge, God. I be doing the science without even doing all the science, man. Shit is crazy, dude.
Don't even ask me
Don't
how.
even watch Ring of Honor. I just knew it was Lexi Nair. Like
Yeah.
Lexi Nair.
I was gonna say Final Battle.
Yeah,
That's the last
yeah,
thing that
yeah.
I saw.
So that's it though. That's all the release.
Yeah,
Seems
that's
like
all the releases. Before we get out of here, we do have I guess you call this a special this weekend. We
yeah.
have
In
AEW
Australia.
Grand Slam fresh out of Australia. Grand Slam that used to be over here at the Arthur Ashe Stadium, but they're doing it in Australia this year. The name of the arena, so this is taking place. It's the fifth Grand Slam event, actually. It's at the Brisbane Entertainment Center in Australia. I don't know how many people this actually holds, but regardless, there are 5 matches as per Wikipedia. We
Seriously?
have,
Only 5?
yeah, we have 5 matches. I think it's a regular. It's like a TV
That is
episode.
true though. It
You
is.
know
It
what I
is.
mean? It's a
It
TV
is.
episode.
It's
Yeah,
Australian collision essentially.
yeah, pretty much. So 5 matches. We got Mariah May versus Timeless Tony Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship.
Supposed main event.
Yeah, it looks like the main event. Only world championship on this card. Mox ain't defending the world championship. Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega versus Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita tag match. We have Okada defending the Continental Championship against Buddy Matthews. We have Jay White and Cope versus John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli in a Brisbane brawl. And finally, Mercedes Moné defends the TBS
Yeah.
Championship against Harley Cameron. Longest,
Match of the night. Match of the night. Can't wait.
let's start with the match of the night. Mercedes W done.
Yo, I would love if Harley Cameron won. I'm with Lyric on this. Lyric Wrestling, man. You know what I mean? Well, Lyric. I don't think Lyric said that. Lyric did make comment though about Harley Cameron, and you know, I do think Harley Cameron is having some of the best run
She's
right now.
entertaining as hell,
This
man.
is awesome. Like
She's entertaining as
you
hell. Once
can't hate on it. She's got
I saw,
talent. But
man, with the when she's able to do the puppet without moving her mouth.
bro,
You know how hard
she,
that is, man.
jeez, she did Mercedes theme better than Mercedes. Like that was insane. What I watched the other night, I was just like, whoa, this is cool. Like
Nah, she's impressive, man.
I don't see this in any Mercedes feuds. Like I don't see it's always like, yo, I'm just trying to take your title, like I'm trying to prove myself. I've been
Yeah,
here
yeah.
before you. Like this feels like a story, an entertaining story at that. Yes, we know Harley doesn't really stand a chance, but she looks damn cool and fun and great just trying and entertaining, man. Like
It's
that's what I
fun.
think could have been missing from that. Statlander and Mercedes had great matches, but there just wasn't much fire.
Well, the difference is like we know that Harley Cameron isn't going to win this match.
Yes,
So, what else are you bringing to the table that makes this worth watching anytime you have your 10-15 minute segment on TV? And the difference with this situation versus a Statlander is if I don't believe that Statlander has a real legit shot to win that title, then what are we doing here?
yes,
So like
because
that's the difference. And this is what happens with title reigns. Like when you're in that space of, yeah, you're in a match with or a program rather with somebody that I don't think has a chance to beat you, then your emotional investment ain't gonna be but so high, unless you bring something else to the table. And Harley Cameron is just
Harley
funny. Like
best
it's
character.
funny and it's fun to watch. Like
It
that's it.
is. It is, and
This ain't really, this isn't chemistry. This isn't
this is the Australian show, so all the Australian wrestlers are going to get nice pops. They're going to put
yeah,
on a good show. I think Harley is going to prove herself tremendously with this one. Where she
maximizing
goes,
her time on TV. I tell you that.
Mercedes is going to have the belts for a while. I don't think she's going to lose any of the belts for some time. I think she might have almost a year and a half reign as TBS champ. The way it's looking right now, I don't think anyone's going to take the belt from her because you can't just take the TBS title and leave the rest. Like I think one has to go in domino effect, and it has to go not AEW first, but the other ones.
Yeah, I think it's gonna kind of resemble what happened with Kenny.
Kenny, yeah, there we
It's gonna
go.
be that. Like he picked up the titles and then one by one, lost them that way. Because he lost the who did he lose the impact joint to?
Christian on the
It was
first episode
Christian,
of
right?
Rampage. I think it was the
Yeah.
first episode. It was.
I don't remember that, but you're right. It was, yeah, it was. It was.
That was a fire moment. Like that was some peak AEW crowd work right there.
Yeah.
That was a good match. So
Yep.
yeah, I think that, and then he lost the world title to Moxley, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think yeah, man. I just can't see him take the title from Mercedes at any point.
No, not here. But again, that's not what Harley Cameron's role is right now, man. She's just let's have some fun with it. It's silly in the sense of what was happening with Timeless Tony Storm. You know, it's like what is happening, and then the more you watch, it's like, nah, this is good. This is good TV.
I can't predict who comes after Mercedes next for Revolution. If it's not a multi-woman match, I just can't call it. I don't think she runs it back with Stat, but I could also see them doing them again. But if they do a Stat laner match for a third time, and she loses a third time, I'm just gonna be like, "Yo, dog, come on, man."
Yeah, we'll
Or a
see.
Willow match, but yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
we'll see. Like I've always, for whatever, I've always thought that Willow's going to be the one to beat her. Um, and I guess it's just now ain't the time. It always seems like now ain't the time. So
You caught the Ric
we'll
Flair
see
quote about her,
about who.
Mercedes. He said that he believes she'll go back to WWE once this AEW thing is over because she's far better superior of a talent than all of the women in AEW. That's why she's in the position she's in as the top dog, and no one can beat her. But if she goes to WWE, she has real competition. Because she's that good. Saying like she's so good, she should be in WWE. She's far better ahead than most of the women in AEW, and it shows in the ring work, and that's why she's one of the top dogs. I'm paraphrasing that a little bit, but that's basically everything he said.
I'll I'll disagree. I think she's a bigger name. I think there are some names in ring that give Mercedes a run and that makes them better. But I think like because she's had a decade plus on top in the biggest wrestling promotion, she's head and shoulders above them in that way as far as notoriety. And I think it's her job, especially considering that she's holding a championship. That's why it's so important for whoever it is that beats her to be somebody that they can really run with and do something interesting with, because that's a big win.
Yes.
Like, so whoever does get that win, say it's Mercedes, Willow rather, coming off of 200, almost 300-day reign, whenever it happens, maybe it's a full year by the time she loses. Maybe it's somebody that picks up not only the TBS title, but every other title at the same time. Think about who beats her for the Japanese championship. That's
Mhm.
somebody, like, again, so no, I disagree, man. Like, people, I don't know. I
Yeah.
ain't really for the, I ain't really for that. That's just, it's a Ric Flair comment, bro.
Yeah, I know.
And
I just caught it.
you know what I
It's a
mean?
fresh
Like,
quote. So that's kind of why I was just like,
yeah,
interesting.
like the in ring, no. Status wise, sure. But that also comes with the asterisk of AEW's, what, 6 years old. What do you expect?
Yeah, I
You know
get
what I
you.
mean?
Not everyone is a household name like Charlotte and
It
Bailey.
can be a household name.
So
Yeah. Brisbane Brawl. Speaking of John Moxley, we got Mox, Claudio, Marina Shafir's in the tuck. They're taking on Cope and Jay White. And to me, this seems like Cope pins Mox just so we can get a little bit closer and a little bit more believability to Cope having a shot to beat Mox once they have that 1-on-1 for the world title.
good
So,
segue.
yeah,
That's a good prop. That's a good prop to play if we were betting guys on wrestling
yeah.
because I'd also go Claudio takes the pin from Jay White because Jay White needs something to do here, something memorable in his home country. While it doesn't segue Mox and Cope, I think Jay White could afford that pop from the crowd from getting the pin. Maybe he pins Moxley. Maybe he'll pin Moxley, and that'll just be a segue to them having a TV match
Mm-hmm.
in between. But
Yeah.
either way, I just think Claudio takes the pinfall regardless. Like I think Claudio is there to be the pin guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think to make Mox's title reign a little bit more interesting, why I don't see Cope beating him for the title. I don't see Jay White beating him for the
The
title.
discourse on this feud is so hysterical because we all in unison, from AEW fans to podcasters to non AEW fans, everyone's like, yo, get this Death Rider thing out of here. Like, this is the most unity I think I've seen from every variety of like content creator in the wrestling space. Is like a majority is saying, yo, this Death Rider thing gotta stop, man. Like, we gotta
Yeah. Whenever you're
it's
ready.
gotta whenever you're ready
Whenever
to
you're
open the
ready.
briefcase and bring the title back into fruition because you want to lock the belt up for a year. Like that's crazy that like they're doing a cosplay of the Roman Reigns bloodline, you know what I'm saying, thing, but it's just not working. Just don't really it don't feel like, when Roman shows up every so often, it's like, oh, look at the belts. Somebody's got to get that. Moxley shows up every week and there's no belt. You're supposed to just and I'm gonna rip your neck and I'm gonna break your bone. It just starts to get Randy Savage on like like on ecstasy. Like it's just getting crazy. Like the promos, like everything. Like this Death Riders thing gotta stop. It ain't gonna stop with Cope. Because people ain't jacking that. I'll tell you that. Like I seen it online. People are not happy with Cope and Mox as a main event for Revolution. When you look at what last year's matches were for Revolution, or the main event, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, especially on top of
Skater
Kenny
Cope.
Kenny Omega just came back, and
He's about to go have a
we'll
brawl with Kyle Fletcher and put him over. Because that's what AEW's got to do, man. They got to put the new talent over. Kyle Fletcher. This is what everyone wanted. They wanted Kyle Fletcher to the top. And what better way than having a feud and a primetime match with Kenny Omega at a pay per view? This is all
look. I
by
mean,
design. Don
Osprey and
Callis.
Omega ain't losing that match.
No, I don't think they're losing
They're
that
not
match.
losing that match.
But I think this is what segues to Kenny and Fletcher at Revolution.
But my point is, like, there was a lot of conversation about, yeah, Kenny Omega just came back, hot shot him to that title, and let's just get it over with.
I wasn't with that.
I was
I wasn't
right.
with
For starters, like I said, that I thought Kenny Omega coming back was always the guy to beat him. You need this hero. If Mox's whole thing was he's the super villain that wants to recreate AEW in his image, then you need a superhero to come back and beat him, for that title. Why wouldn't it be Omega?
Because Omega didn't care to come back to AEW to begin with. He was like, yo, I got to stop in New Japan first. And you know what I mean? Get this out the way. I'll get to AEW when I get to AEW. That's
But
the vibes.
technically, he came back to AEW first, even though he had a return match
The
in New
return
Japan.
match.
He
New
came back to
Japan.
AEW first.
The match, I should say. He didn't wrestle in AEW
Yeah,
first.
but I mean, he did come back to AEW first. You
I
know,
just don't
I
think.
just thought that his focus. Why wouldn't it be John Moxley?
No, it really does sound good, bro. But you know what we dealing with. You know the content we speculate and we talking about. You know the company we
Yeah.
talking about. So like logic is out the window here. He's got to go feud with Takeshita and the Don Callis family again.
Which that's not illogical. It's not that that's an illogical feud. You know what I mean? Like when he left uh AEW
He was getting his
when
guts
he was
kicked in
sick,
by Jack Perry.
he had issues with the elite, but he had issues with the Callis family. You know what I
That's
mean?
what
So the
the elite
elite
aren't
ain't there.
going.
Jack Perry ain't on TV. Bucks ain't on TV. Only person left is Okada. They already had that face off. We know we're gonna get that over the summer. That's an all in match.
It's a forbidden door. Or nah, say forbidden
No,
door.
that's all in.
Yeah, that's all in.
That's all in. They already foreshadowed that. They had them face off
Oh yeah, yeah.
with the poster in the background.
See what
Like
I'm saying? Like they got wait, you got to get the Continental Division over. It's just other things they got to do with Kenny Omega right now. That it's just like them and Mox.
there's not though. Just
But you
win the
know what?
title.
To that point, I think it's just they don't want to go back to that. Like we've already seen Omega Moxley, so I guess in that sense,
I guess.
you don't want to go back to that. We still got to get Eddie Kingston's return and have him feud with Mox and the Death Riders every week. You got to get Darby to come through and jump through the ceiling again when he gets back from Mount Everest.
Man,
There's still other people he's got to kill.
we don't need any of that.
You know, I'm just speaking from a place of like just like I'm living in it, like just
Who
watching
beats Mox?
Darby Allin in a year. I don't see anybody taking the title. I don't see anyone opening the briefcase.
Darby
We
Allen in a
all
year is it's insane.
we all are over this Death Rider shit to the point where it's like this is their company, yo. This is the Death Riders world in AEW, and we're living in it and we're watching it. So it's like get with the program. It's
Woo!
unfortunate. It's super unfortunate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's pretty whack. So let's recap real quick. Mercedes is beating Harley Cameron.
Yes.
I have Jay White and Colt beating the Death Riders. So do
Me
you?
too. Me
Yep.
too.
We have Okada versus Buddy Matthews for the Continental Championship. That
That match
seems
is
like
gonna be really good. That is
yeah,
gonna be a legit match of the night.
they're gonna get busy, man. They're gonna get busy. You know, Okada for the W, but they're gonna get busy. You know,
I don't like Buddy taking all these L's, but it is what it is.
I think. See, I'm kind of half and half on it because they didn't really do a whole lot of losing before, whether they were
Trios champions and
trio.
out on
Yeah,
television.
they weren't, but
You
they
make it
didn't.
up for the lost time, literally.
I honestly think that's what's happening. You know,
We got rid of your mans, and now y'all can just be on TV every week. Like,
yeah,
you're on TV, guys. Wrestle,
I think that's
but
what's
you're not going
happening.
over.
Yeah, you know, until I guess we figure out what the next like official direction. It ain't the tag titles, I'll tell you that.
Def, yeah, yeah.
Hurt Syndicate versus Hounds of Hell would be fire, but
But
they're
you
not
see what
winning.
happened to the you saw what happened to the Guns already. The Guns is already out of here. Like I don't want to
Yeah,
see Guns hurt Syndicate too. Like not
yeah,
not now, not again. So yeah, you're right. It is gonna be tough to see where they go as a tag team, but that'll be a good match. Gonna be a really really good match.
yeah. Okada, Buddy Matthews, man, like line it
I
up.
think that'll be the sleeper. I think that could be the sleeper match of the night. I think Osprey's tag is the match of the night realistically, and I think the Brisbane brawl out of match order is the least enjoyed match of the night, and it's the hardcore car crash.
Yeah, because I don't see anything as far as that brawl. Like on paper, I don't really see anything that I'm not gonna see or haven't seen already.
Do you know what I really enjoyed when we watched the Rumble, yo? Was Cody and KO fighting through the crowd. They moved that ish along so quick that I was like, that might have been one of the best like in crowd brawls like I've seen effortlessly in a while. It
Mm.
doesn't feel like what happens in AEW because they'll just move at slow pace through the entire arena, just throwing weak forearms. Like that Cody Owens match, they just moved it right along. We got in the crowd, but now we're over here. So I
Yeah.
think that Brisbane Brawl is just going to be the car crash, least enjoyable match of the night. Will there be blood? Yes. Will there
Your man,
be
your
a
man.
holy S chant? Yes.
Yeah, there'll be some blood. I think like the cool thing is that because Australia doesn't get uh I think it's the first time AEW's been there.
Yes.
So the energy is gonna be good. The crowd is gonna be fun. So I think that's what's gonna help take the brawl over the top a little bit. It's not gonna be anything super new. It's just gonna be good energy,
I'm
'cause
really
they don't get them.
intrigued though. I'm really intrigued to see the arena because of the downsize, because of the discourse, because of the feedback, the transportation issues, the distance that the arena is from even the airport.
Oh, I don't know anything about any of that. I know
Yeah,
that they
I did
were
the
I know that
homework.
they were at a stadium and they moved to an arena, but it's
I,
still, if I remember correctly, it was something around like 10,000 people supposed to
I
be
did
there.
I did the research, did the homework. It's like 30 minutes away from the airport. Like 30 minutes. It might be 30 minutes or so, like just away from a general area where like even rides or like getting consistent ride share. It's not like being in a city. Like this is like a
Mm.
really untapped area for the wrestling community. So like I'm really curious to see what the arena looks like. I think it'll look beautiful. If you say 10,000, like it will look beautiful. But I just see so much discourse online. And again, this is just the online crowd. Like it's just a bunch of bots. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure most of them, but these people are saying like, yo, I don't like the way the show turned out, and I'm in Australia. Like, I you know what I mean, got to swindle last minute, and I got to find transportation to get over here, X, Y, and Z. So, from a visual standpoint, I'm curious to see what the show looks like live
Mhm.
on Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know it's not going to be all in. It's not going to be London. It's not going to be Wembley. I don't think it'll be Arthur Ashe, the first Arthur Ashe, but I think it'll be Hammerstein feelish. Like I would love that. I would want to see that type of vibe for them,
I don't
especially
know.
with
I
five
think
for
it'll,
5 matches.
yeah, it'll I think it'll be full just because like you're going to Australia where there hasn't been any AEW before. Like those first time AEW comes somewhere, those are always the biggest, and then it dwindles down from there. Like look at All In, that's when they did their 80,000. You know what I mean? Because that was the first time that they went there. So, it's not, again, definitely not 80. I haven't seen anything that said it's anywhere near that. That's why they had to move venues. But with that being said, just the energy for the people in the audience for that night, I think is going to be high enough to take it over the
The
top a bit.
Australian crowd definitely, especially with the way
Yeah.
they showed up for Elimination Chamber. Was it last year in Perth? Like I think the Australian crowd should be cool. The comparison would be like if they went from the House of Glory Arena to White Plains. It's like, y'all, I gotta go from Jamaica to Yonkers now, or like White Plains to commute. You know what I'm saying? Like you just added an extra 30, 45 minutes on something that I was not sold on. Like I wasn't trying to go to Yonkers to go see the show, actually. Like I was just trying to be in Jamaica, Queens for this actually. Actually, for what I
Got
paid, I
me
wanted
out here in Westchester
you know
County, bro.
that was the discourse. If I had to compare it to New York, like that's kind
That's
of
funny.
like, you know what I mean? It's like, yo, dog, I thought we was going down the block to Jamaica. Like go to the arena. I didn't know we was going to White Plains for this show now on the last minute. Oh, all right. So
That's funny.
yeah. That's that, man. It's Grand Slam, man.
Nah, we got, I think, one more match.
Do we? I thought it was all we talked the tag
Ok
match.
Yeah,
Oh,
Okada beat Matthews. We got, I mean, Osprey Omega versus the
Don
Fletcher
Callis,
and
man.
Takeshita. Yeah, that's Osprey and Omega. And there's the main event. Mariah May, champ, against Timeless Tony Storm, women's world title. I think obviously Timeless Tony Storm has the momentum. She's back in her form, and we got a new champ.
I'm gonna go the opposite and say Mariah May beats her.
So
Yeah.
this is not the main event because there ain't no way you ending that.
You think it's so obvious?
It's the
Does,
only
does
world
Tony
title on the
really need the
card, bro.
belt right now, though? Does she really need it?
Does Mariah need it?
Mariah does not need the belt, actually. Like Mariah's reign has been so crickets. Like this is like these past couple weeks has been the most like crowd interaction I feel like I've seen Mariah May have since she won the belt.
Because this is the only time you think somebody's gonna beat her. That's
Which is
why.
why I think she retains here.
Nah. Because what does she do? Go back into another match with Timeless Tony Storm?
Yes, because they have to do another match. They got to do the rubber match.
I think it would be stupid as hell to have Timeless Tony Storm eventually beat Mariah May and it not happen in Australia where you're gonna get the biggest pop. You're gonna have Tony Storm lose in Australia and then beat her in Milwaukee.
What does Tony Storm do with this title reign next?
What does
Like
Mariah Way do with Tony? Like, what does anybody do?
I
What's
wasn't
the
crazy about
feud?
Mariah's reign, but I'm just saying at least give that
What's the
reign a
feud?
shot. At least give it a
No,
shot.
give it a shot. She's had it mad long. Give it a shot.
It's like, you know what I mean? Let her get into the next gear
No,
of her having a reign, having a belt.
nah, man. She had the reign. Is to me, it ain't. It was not her fault. It was there weren't any believable programs. It's that simple. You're gonna build somebody up to have a big fight. That's what's gonna make the title reign interesting. We've tried that. It didn't work.
Did not work.
Time to move on.
Did not work.
And I think, Tony Storm will suffer the same fate that anybody's gonna suffer if they don't have like what's next. Who's the big challenger? Who's like, oh man, I'm not sure if Tony comes out of this. Imagine Tony wins that title right now, and name out of the hat we get Britt Baker's music hitting. Britt Baker, whether you like her or dislike her, is always a threat for a title because she's Britt Baker and what she's meant to that company from the beginning. So if Britt Baker and Tony Storm all of a sudden end up in a program together, I'm not so sure Tony Storm 100% wins. But you need that question mark. You need that, man, this is 60-40 to make it interesting. It was always like a foregone conclusion that Mariah May was going to win. That's why her reign wasn't interesting. It's not her. She's talented.
I think Statlander could have been it by now. I think Stat
Bunch
and
of people
Mariah.
could have.
I know.
Statlander
Willow.
could have been.
Willow
Willow could have been. Mercedes, for whatever reason, is still
could
in
have been
TBS
record. I
and
know.
not in. You know what I mean? So it's all about it's the booking, guys. This is an art. This is not sports.
I know.
It has to be
I'm gonna
written that
stick with
way.
Mariah. I'm gonna stick with Mariah. I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna just say the
Yeah.
surprise factor because it's a yes, it's Australia. Tony Storm is from New Zealand, but it's also still collision. It's still Grand Slam. It's still Australian collision. Granted, it's a moment. I see where you're going. It's a
Eddie
moment.
Kingston won his title in Queens.
AEW does always do this, though. You're
You
right.
know,
Ah,
Eddie
damn, man.
Kingston for sure lost the Ring of Honor on Ring of Honor pay per view and won the Ring of Honor on AEW TV because it was in New York. Big pop.
Damn, man. You're right. AEW does not do the hometown defeats.
Especially not for titles. You know what I mean?
This is crazy. It's crazy that I'm rocking with Tony Storm's character, but I'm just not ready for her to be the world champion again.
And I don't understand why you think anything would be different about Mariah May's title reign. It's not happening, bro.
Yeah, I'll take it. You're right.
Yeah, Tony Storm walks out of that new champ. That's a foregone. Out of any match on here, I think that's the easiest one for me to call. Well, no, Okada, Buddy Matthews.
Okada, Buddy Matthews, and
Yeah,
Mercedes Harley.
yeah, and Mercedes. I mean, but that's like that's a different. I can call that. That's like we already know what that is.
How will she
That ain't
beat her?
competitive.
Will she make her tap, or will she just pin her? Like,
Yeah, it's exactly. It's really like, how does this end?
yeah.
How does Mercedes win? Because it ain't if.
yes. That's the alternate. It's like it's
Yeah,
not if. It's
it
like
ain't if.
how.
I
How?
want I want to know who out there. There's always like two people on Earth, 8 out of 8.5 billion. Nah. I think Harley Cameron has a shot. Do you?
Yo,
Okay.
they can think that because crazier things have happened, and
Yo,
she could have a day. She could have the belt, and then Mercedes wins it back on Dynamite. She's a two-time champion. That could be the pop. We ain't seen one of those. We ain't seen a quick strike.
which I'm never mad at.
I'm not mad at a quick strike title reign. I
Yeah.
haven't seen a quick strike title reign in a minute, and I'm not up. Trick Williams, I'm bugging.
I just yeah. But I don't think that they sacrificed the consecutive day
For that,
reign for that.
for that
Yeah.
moment when you
I
got
don't think
Tony
they do
Storm
that.
right there.
Yeah.
I think Fletcher and Okada win before we wrap up. I think they're the ones. I think somehow Kenny takes the pin from Fletcher. That's how they get to their match at Revolution.
Kenny takes the pin from Fletcher.
This is no me listening to anyone taking any reads. This is just me off the top of the dome. I just think Fletcher
I don't know.
against Kenny.
I don't think Kenny's losing anytime soon. Tag match, trio match, singles match. I don't think it's happening.
All right, maybe Osprey.
I don't know about Osprey losing anytime soon either.
Osprey's been losing more than Osprey loses more often than not now. So there's a fair
No,
argument.
sure, but I don't know. I don't see it.
Either way, I think Fletcher takes the pinfall. And Takesha's the one with the belt. So I think Kyle's the one that gets the pin somehow, some way.
Yeah, I think Kyle can eat that pin. Kyle to me right now is in that Shawn Michaels just post the Rockers era.
Yeah.
Where you see the potential, you know what time it is, but he's not like the guy that should be winning every match. IC title for a while, but he's gonna lose. Maybe he gets it back, then he lose. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason why Kyle Fletcher needs to be dominant. So him
No,
losing against former world champions, that makes sense.
he's 05 Randy Orton right now.
Same vibe.
He's
But
post evolution,
you
but
see the
like
potential.
he's post revolution. He's not really a believable baby face, and he's just healed into this like
Yeah.
sadistic, like, yo, I'm just gonna just beat the snot out of you.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't see any reason why Kyle Fletcher can't lose a match at all. You
I
know?
just think you got to get to him and Kenny at Revolution somehow. I think the Revolution card is gonna be dope. That I think is gonna be a really good card when it comes down to it. Like, there's a
Yeah.
lot of good potential. Swerve, Ricochet, Cope, and Mox. It's gonna be fine. There's discourse now, but I think it'll be fine come March 8th. I think it'll be all right. It won't be a 5-star, but like Cope can hang, bro. He can still do his thing. It ain't
They
he
gotta
never.
be creative. They gotta get
Yes,
creative.
yes. Steel cage match where you don't jump off the top of anything again.
Please don't. We
Samoa
don't
Joe and Christian. There's that. You got the patriarchy in the ops, so
the
they can do that.
ops.
The ops is crazy.
I
I've
couldn't
seen them
believe
say,
I couldn't believe my ears. Like,
yeah,
wait,
I couldn't either.
what?
Yeah, that was wild. The ops with 1P.
Fam, he repeated it.
That might be the episode title. Is just the ops with one parenthesis with 1P is crazy.
Yo, Samoa Joe said, yo, we are the ops. Stay off of TikTok, my boy.
I saw you saw the joke about how Hook got to earn his towel.
Nah, that's mad funny.
That was actually like, yo, I could get down with this. Actually, like,
That's mad funny. Like,
I
yo,
could
man,
get down with that. Hook is like Joe is on Hook's ass about like, yo, you can't get a towel to the ring like me and Shibata. Yo, you got to earn
you
this.
ain't earned it yet.
You ain't earned a towel to the ring yet, and
I
that's gonna
don't,
be the defining moment
I
at
don't
All
care
In.
what your father name is, man. You ain't earned that towel.
Yo, can you imagine All In Texas when Joe finally puts the towel on Hook's neck after the win?
Yo, he's crowning him.
Yo, the crowd losing their mind off of the towel. Yo,
Fam, if there was ever a reason for AEW to hit the 2300 arena, that's it. Hook gets toweled in
Hook
Philly.
gets toweled in Philly, son. Not the terrible towel, but the op towel. The op towel is it. That's
Yo,
the
my
episode.
man Joe said we are the ops. Okay, Joseph.
Yo, dog. That was nuts. That was nuts. But
I
him and
couldn't
Christian,
believe, man. I was on my phone. I looked up like, wait a minute. Did he just say?
am I listening to like, yo, he's enjoying Wale Mania way too much. Like,
Yo,
Joe is outside way too much, son.
Joe, bro, like you gotta listen to
Joe
jazz. You gotta listen to some David Sanborn, my boy.
Samoa Joe listens to drill music before he goes.
Samoa Joe ain't listening to nothing but Lil Baby.
Son, Joe is listening to K Flock and he's drilling ish before he goes to the ring.
He got the Central C just
Yes.
moving all
Big
through
op.
his subwoofers, man.
Samoa Joe going to tell himself the big op in like 4 months, and it's going to be hysterical, son. But yeah, him and Christian at Revolution, Swerve, Ricochet, like Kyle Fletcher, and
Yeah, it'll be dope.
Revolution is going to be the dope follow up to what we're about to see on Saturday, Point Blank.
Yeah, this is a how they do it at TVs. This is a TV special.
Trouble
So
at the Bubble, Quake
it'll
at
be
the
dope.
Lake, yeah, Fighter Fest. Yeah,
I ain't gonna lie, Grand Slam has a dope pedigree.
they do.
There has not
They
been a
do.
whack Grand Slam whatsoever.
They do. They definitely do. We were
Yeah.
at Grand Slam.
Yeah.
We were at a Grand Slam, so I
And that
agree.
was a dope ass time.
Australia, you in for a good time. Everyone
Yeah.
who tuned in, we appreciate y'all. It's the almighty RSC.
Speaking of good times, this was a good time. This was episode 115. Appreciate y'all, man, for tuning in. X, YouTube. Catch us on the podcast platforms once again. For the good sir, Chad Law, that's over that way, not that way. My name is AO. Peace to Blame Boogie. Peace to y'all. We out of here.